It's an OG Butcher's Market live, but I hear what you're saying to me. Joe, you're not at the Butcher's Market right now.
No,
I'm not. It's a very special episode today. We are at the Happy Inhale. There will be no life lessons learned, though, but we are at the Happy Inhale in North Hills. I'm Joe Giglio, joined by that Brownlow lady today, Lauren Brownlow, kind enough to fill in for an ailing Joe Ovius. I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule for us, Lauren.
no problem. Lots of people are under the weather right now, man. Like my kid's school is feeling it real bad. Like it is.
It's definitely a bad flu season this year. Hit the Hurricanes first, I feel like.
Oh, no.
I feel like this is how Joe Ovius, hockey dad, is tangentially getting caught up in.
I guess Duke basketball as well, right?
Yes, we heard that there were some issues with Duke basketball as well. So it cannot be avoided. It also cannot be avoided that we are presented by the Copiers Plus. Our friends at Copiers Plus, copiers-plus.com. For all of your data management needs, your print needs. These are things that are real. They help us. They can help you. I mentioned we are at the Happy Inhale in North Hills today. Lauren, we have a new promo code. Who doesn't love a promo code?
I know I love them.
Okay, so you download the Happy Plus Hail app. It's very easy to find on your app store. You punch in your order. Then there's a spot for promo codes. You click on it, OG25. OG25. If you order on the app, if they're in line right now and if they're listening, if you order on the app, OG25, you will save 25% on your order today. That sounds amazing to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We also have a very special members card, discount card that we will be releasing soon. That will be a prize. So please download the app, use that promo code OG25. Now, I only have a smoothie here.
Okay.
I do not have a 40. I do not have a beer. It's probably for the best.
Right.
That I'm a guest somewhere, so I am going to watch my language today. Let's start with that.
Yeah, it's a family place.
It is we're surrounded by people. I'm going to watch my language today. That's number one. Number two, we're not in our usual spot, so I will not pour any kind of alcohol or liquor out.
Definitely not
for NC State basketball in particular, but maybe just NC State. Because while we were blessed with the year of the Wolf in 2024, this is decidedly not that in 2025.
No.
We are now in the year of the Hangover, which is fitting that NC State alum Zach Galifianakis gave us the one-man Wolfpack in the Hangover movies.
That's true.
So it is the year of the Hangover. NC State last night losing to Cal.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Cal.
I know that this is the only pass I will give them in this section. That game started. I think I saw about 10 minutes of it before I fell asleep. Now, granted, these kids are much younger and therefore immune to things like sleepiness, that we olds have to deal with.
Right.
However, it's starting at 11 p.m. East Coast time is wild. I guess there's just literally nothing ESPN has to show at that time because just because they have to go to the West Coast doesn't mean it should have to start at that's still late there.
Yeah.
That's 8 there. Why does it have to start at 11?
Their latest loss, their seventh in a row now in conference play.
Yeah.
Leaves them in danger of missing not the NCAA
right,
tournament.
That's done.
Not the NCAA tournament, rather the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
They've lost 7 in a row in the league. They're now 2-9 in ACC play. Last night went according to the 2025 script. NC State goes 3 of 13 from 3. Dontrez Styles, who played so well against Duke, played so well against Clemson.
Yeah.
3 of 14, 3 of 16 from the field.
That's not
I
great.
hate it when Ken Palm breaks these things up and doesn't give you the totals. 3 of 16 from the field last night. Marcus Hill, actually the only player on the roster with double digits. They lose 74-62. Now,
season sweep by Cal. Yeah.
That is where I was going. I have been all along trying to say it happens in the portal era, and we will talk more about the portal era and the NIL era, okay? Those are the larger points. I want to start with the smaller points, okay? Obviously, I'm someone who has defended Kevin and will continue to defend Kevin.
Sure.
But just like you had Carolina not showing up for the first half against Duke at Cameron causes a crisis of confidence for the program. when you get swept by Cal, now Cal's not a bad team.
No.
Okay.
No, there are worse in the ACC.
But they're also not Stanford. They do not have a lottery pick.
Right.
They don't have a 5-star transfer from Duke. They have Peja Stojakovic's kid and a couple other guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm getting at here is you can't get swept by Cal.
No.
If most teams are equal, which I believe in the NIL portal, or most of the teams are alike. Teams 10 through 210 are pretty similar.
Yeah, and the ACC is bad, but almost everyone is bad. So
sure.
Yeah.
Other than Duke.
Right.
Let's throw Duke in a different category, right?
Correct. Yes. And Louisville arguably as well.
But even they just
there
lost
are
the game.
Degrees, but again, like no one is unbeatable.
That is a microphone, young lady. Screaming.
Oh, sorry.
You were hold on.
Oh, my bad.
Who is the scream?
Sorry.
You're just fired up.
There are degrees to how bad everyone is, obviously.
Well, yeah, there's Miami who has quit on their interim coach, although they did finally win. Right. And then you have all these other teams going through coaching transitions and identity crises. That is going to get us to the NIL portal conversation. But I wanted to start with the losing at Cameron the way that Carolina did was bad, causes a confidence crisis. Confidence.
I mean, at least State can know that they helped cause that in some way.
They did.
Because Duke was mad about it and wanted to take it out on Carolina.
But getting swept by Cal, bad. Losing to Virginia and Virginia Tech in this year in particular.
Yeah.
The Virginia Tech loss specifically, they had control of that game.
Right. You losing the leads. Like that's not because it's not as if they didn't do enough to get up by a certain amount of points and take control at one point, but they just haven't been able to hang on when they've been able to do that.
And that gets us to, what is now, again, being specific, not looking at the big picture, but kind of drilling down. I mentioned the shooting numbers. This is not a good shooting team.
No.
This is a team that for some reason can only score when it's a contested 2. If it's an open layup, they miss it. If it's a dunk, they definitely miss it.
A dunk.
If it's a 3, there's no chance unless it's at Cameron. But
yes,
if you get Marcus Hill, Styles, Jaden Taylor in a
free throw, maybe
in a 10 through 14 foot contested shot, they shoot 75% on those shots. They're the strangest team I've ever seen on that front.
Yeah,
they're fine enough defensively. They're not excellent. They're just fine, average, if you will, 101.
I think they were doing a little better.
They were
earlier in the season, and I think like you see, I think with almost any program where defense isn't the driving point, like Virginia, I think what you see is when your offense isn't going, it starts to wear on you defensively.
And that's the specific point. So let's get to the larger point. Why is their offense the way that it is? Okay.
Why are you like this?
Yeah. Well, I just feel like sometimes when we have a season-long conversation, sometimes you have to go back and kind of review. All right, well, what happened here?
Right.
Okay. So NC State went into this year, and part of who they were building around, Marcus Hill, who has been good, was the leading scorer for a MAC team, an all-MAC player at Bowling Green. So they bring him in. Okay, we need you to be one of our better guards. Got it. Dontrez Styles, who went from Carolina to Georgetown, very productive stretch 4. We've seen Kevin have success with an Alaric Freeman, a Torin Doran, a CJ Bryce. You
Versatile
could very
guys.
well see what the process or the thought was in bringing Styles in. Unfortunately, Styles has just not been very consistent.
Yeah.
And he struggled with any kind of, hey, we don't need you as an ancillary part. We need you as one of those leadership type parts.
I was going to say that's something that strikes me about this team is sometimes with past State teams, you have one guy who either thinks he's the alpha and probably shouldn't be. And that's more of an issue. But this year, it feels like the issue is you have a lot of guys that are perfectly content to play a role on your team.
They have a team full of role players.
Yes.
They do not have a bus driver. That gets us back to the construction of this roster and how it got there. In addition to Hill, the 2 players who were supposed to be the primary scorers on this team, one was Brandon Huntley Hatfield, who has whatever injury issues or even before has been a miss.
Yeah.
Sometimes you miss in the portal. It happens.
It's gonna happen.
It is going to happen.
To
it
everybody.
does, and it will happen to everybody.
Every year it will happen.
And every year,
literally.
you are right. So you have a miss there.
Yeah.
And Mike James. So Huntley Hatfield and Mike James are the two guys from Louisville. Mike James, they're also probably the two highest paid players on the team. Okay.
Right.
So if your two biggest guys aren't your stars, Huntley Hatfield for whatever reason, and then Mike James had a knee surgery before the season started, got an infection after the surgery.
Ugh.
What are you going to do? Like,
can't. Yeah, it's just
so
bad luck.
He has not played. And I'm not sitting here telling you the entire season is different if Mike James plays.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying to you. But I'm saying the construction of this team was such that it was dependent on the two Louisville transfers. Now, this is where perfectly lucid and calm and cool NC State fans can point out, because even I did. Now, was it a great idea to go get two players from a bad Louisville team and make them the heart and foundation of your team? Was that a great idea? Given the data that we had, it's debatable. I see it because sometimes bad players, sometimes good players play for a bad team, and you put them in the right environment, they're good players.
Sometimes you just change their coach and they're much better.
As we, as we see across the landscape,
right?
So I bring this up as to say, this was what the team was supposed to be. Without James, it never was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Then you add in Huntley Hatfield, who was never supposed to be 1-for-1 for DJ Burns, but was supposed to be someone you could run the offense through the post the
like
way that they did.
A low post
Burns.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's where this team has kind of gone askew, if you will. Now, who's that on? Of course, when the team's not ready to play, when the team doesn't execute down the stretch, that's on Kevin.
Yeah.
Okay. The construction of the team, though, I would argue when you don't have money and you're competing, and this gets now to the larger
that's the bigger issue, right? Is the money.
And here you are.
Yeah.
You are competing with Duke and Louisville, who are at the top of the NIL budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Duke in particular. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you the four teams with the four highest NIL budgets in the ACC.
Okay.
Let's just see if we can match this up somehow with another list. Let me see if it lines up. Are you ready?
Okay.
Duke.
Yeah.
Number 1. Louisville.
Yep.
Number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina. 3.
Okay.
Clemson and Wake in a similar boat.
I was actually going to ask about Pitt, but
they're there, but
I figured
Pitt
in the top half. Yeah.
Pitt is more in the NC State range of $2.5 to $3 million.
Okay.
Okay. And then you have Clemson and Wake a step ahead of that. You got Carolina in that 5 area.
Look at Clemson caring about basketball. It's so cute.
Nice, right? And then you have Louisville at 6 and Duke at 6+, let's just say.
Yeah.
We don't really know what the flag deal is, but I promise you, AJ DeBanza didn't come up with a magically $5 million, $6 million, $7 million number, and the guy from the previous class was not in that ballpark. Let's be real.
Agreed.
The way that Duke does it is very specific. They have a corporate support. They have the general manager, all of the infrastructure, all of those things. They do this thing right.
Carolina's bringing in a GM now. So.
Well, State doesn't have one of those. They don't have Carolina's budget.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
RJ Davis is making $1 million to play basketball this year. NC State's highest paid player is getting $350,000.
Yeah, it's not the same.
I've made this point before. Caleb Foster might be the 6th best player on Duke.
Yeah.
Caleb Foster is making more than $500,000.
Woo.
Okay. So
it's crazy.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm only bringing up these numbers and saying these numbers because if you think about it, we've accepted in baseball and football's different because there's a cap and the whole thing, right?
Of course.
The NBA is weird because of the Larry Bird exceptions. You can go over the cap, pay your own players, do the whole thing. Baseball is the one sport I feel like we've all squared. Like nobody's sitting here like wringing their hands and jumping off cliffs because the Tampa Bay Rays didn't compete in 2024. Right? Like they've had years where they've won and made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And those are the years when they don't miss on their talent evaluation.
Right.
So NC State missed on their talent evaluation this year. Plain and simple. But it was a product of their budget restraints. So I'm saying that as a way of explaining what is happening this year.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? Am I being too logical right now?
No, I don't think so. I do think like I understand sort of the base. I understand at least sort of the base instinct in State fans because even before NIL was a fixture, there were issues that they had with some of Kevin's teams in the past that I think they feel like are similar, which I don't know is necessarily fair, but that's where I think they feel the frustration of like, okay, we're still losing games the same way. And there are teams that like they should, at least in theory, be able to beat, because yeah, even though they're not the best, like State's roster isn't ideal. A lot of rosters in this league are. So like, why can't they win those games against teams that are right there with them and things like that? I understand.
That's Cal. That's why I'm looking at last night's result going,
yes.
Okay, now wait a second. I can defend you on all this other stuff.
Like, why do you go into Cameron and play that? I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that, right? It's not so simple as like, oh, you play Duke close and you can't beat Cal. I understand that. Like, there's a million different factors involved there, right? But at the same time, like, that's where I think the frustration comes from a little bit, is like, we know that you, like, they've shown they can do it. Like, why do they come into those games and they're clearly not ready to win them? And why have they only won 2 ACC games, one by one, I guess, and the other in overtime? I think, like, in this league, in this year's ACC,
and that's part of it.
Yeah,
I'm not dismissing any of that.
No, for sure. But you're right in everything you said.
The second part of that, though, is we've talked a lot on this program about Carolina and their standard, and you know, trying to come up with understanding of that standard, because it's a different one than NC State's, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like a lot of NC State fans have PTSD.
They have higher standard.
No, they have
Some
PTSD.
Yeah.
From it. Last year was not an almost. Last year was not an NC State shit. Last year was not JJ Redick scoring 40 points and breaking your heart. Last year wasn't Matt Freege scoring 12 points in 3 seconds.
Oh my
God.
Last
year was not Chandler Parsons throwing in a 90-foot shot. Last year was the real deal. It was a delivery. It wasn't Kyle Bambard missed the kick. Oh man, remember, if only. Right. There were no if onlys about last year. There were no almost about last year. There was an actual title. There was a trip to the Final Four. Not swearing. I was there. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
and there's like
the joy.
There are a lot of programs that would kill for that.
And State would too.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they're acting like it didn't happen. They're acting like, oh, well, they're acting like it was Redick at the Greensboro Coliseum. It was an almost. It was a story, a ghost story that you tell your kids. That's not what it was. And that's what's really frustrating me about the conversation around Kevin Keatts.
Yeah, I think it's less from there's somewhat of that. Yeah, I agree with you. But I also think some of it is there are people that were just going to think it was a fluke no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's more what I think.
Okay.
It's not that it like doesn't matter or didn't happen, because you have to be able to coach to get to that point. Like, you cannot be terrible at coaching and get your team that far, no matter how fluky it is or whatever you want to call it.
Which again is wild, because the only fluky moment of the entire 9-game run was Michael O'Connell's shot. So
agree.
All right. So let's go back, because this is one. Now I want to get into the NIL era, the portal NIL era. That starts with 22. 23, 24. This is the 4th year of it. Okay.
Yes.
22, NC State was bad.
Yes.
Okay. Double X on my chart. Bad. 11 and 21. The worst, the most losses in school history. That type of bad.
Yeah.
Okay. 23, which is the one that really truly bothers me, because when you hear this 9-game, it was a fluke. Now we're stuck with him. 23, they rebounded from the 11 and 21 bad, double bad season. By making the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
Okay. More on that in 2 seconds.
Right.
24, obviously, I have 2 checks next to 24.
Yes.
ACC title, 26 and 15. You go to the Final Four. People misremember also what they were last year. They were a bubble team last year that lost 5 of their final 6 games and did not look good losing the final 5 of their final 6 games. Granted, they were not a bad team before that. So this is not. What I'm getting at is this isn't everything's been the same except for those 9 games.
Right.
That's
not true.
I am not standing for that.
You know what? You're really right to bring up what happened in 22 because that's not insignificant.
That was a bad team.
We have seen it even with some of State's better years in recent seasons, right? Like in the last 15, 20 years, even some of State's better teams have had issues like being on the bubble and whatever. So it's not nothing for them to make the tournament. It's really not.
So here we are in 25, 9 and 13. I got 1X. It's bad. Okay. It's not good.
They could threaten to.
And they could. They're in that spiral right now.
I was looking at how many games they have left and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. They might make it worse.
It could spiral. But here's what I want to get to now. in the portal era, the NIL era.
Yeah.
Only 17 major conference teams have made the NCAA tournament in all 3 years.
Yeah.
Only 17.
One of them is not North Carolina.
One of them, not North Carolina.
Correct.
One of them, and there's only one in the ACC, Duke. They are the only ACC team to make the tournament. Listen to what I'm saying in 22, 23, and 24. The Big 12, which includes some Pac-12 teams now, right?
Yeah.
There's 6 teams who are currently in the Big 12 who have done that. Okay. There are 4 teams in the SEC who have done that.
4?
Currently. 4.
That's it?
4.
Okay. Wow.
So now what do the Big 12 and the SEC basketball programs have in common? Let me rack my brain. Oh, that's it. They're the ones who spend the most money on NIL.
Oh,
wow.
Why was I about to say Texas? And then I was like, wait.
Wow. That's wild. You mean there's a correlation between the money that you spend and your success?
What's the Big 10 doing?
It's not 100%. The Big 10 is only 3.
Embarrassing. Sorry.
Kind of, sort of.
No wonder they haven't won a title since 2000.
I was going to say, it's I don't have the third one. It's Purdue, Michigan State, and Illinois. Those are the 3 from the Big 10.
Yeah.
Illinois, one of the highest spenders in NIL, by the way.
Not surprising.
Illinois got a player from Wake Forest this year for $2 million after Wake had offered $750. So just so you know the waters that Illinois is swimming in. Okay.
Dang.
Those are that I just mentioned. That would basically be the equivalent of NC State's entire payroll. One random guard that they got at the end of the portal cycle. So what I'm getting at is for almost every team who doesn't spend at the highest level, it's a year-to-year proposition. And I say this to include Carolina for this because Carolina, fine, this year's not going the way you want it to go. It's in part for the similar reasons. You picked the wrong guys. You had misses in the portal.
Yep.
So now you got
a GM coming in. You're going to have more structure, and because obviously they have the want to and the resources. So it's just a matter of like making it something that's a little more modern, I guess, and ready to adapt to the current times.
So now this comes a question. Of course, the House settlement looks like it will be in place for July.
Mm-hmm.
So teams, as we've seen already with Carolina football, there was some confusion on the local front with Carolina football in this very specific sense.
Just like, wow, that doesn't narrow it down.
No, it seemed like, they just took $20 million out of the couch cushions. They found $20 million. No, this is part of the House settlement. The allotment that will go to Bill Belichick and what they're doing is the baked in part of the House settlement.
Yeah.
So that's going to help a lot of teams now, schools, but you have to spend to the cap, which is basically the way to say you're going to use the full revenue share.
Yes.
Not every school is going to do that, including perchance NC State. Now, you want to see people get mad. Once those numbers come out of who is spending to the cap and who's not, then you'll realize, is it really Kevin's fault, or is it the administrative and the school's intent and what they're showing and saying how we want to be committed? And just so you know, Kevin's got 5 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
That his payout would be $7.5 million. Let's put his assistants at another 2.5. Let's make that 10. Okay. So you're going to come up with $10 million to get rid of those people. Okay, cool. You couldn't even come up with $3 million for the payroll, but you're going to come up with 10 to get rid of him. Got it.
Right.
His compensation is pretty square in the middle of the public schools at $3.4 million per year.
Yeah.
If you want to go and get someone who you think is like Johnny basketball coach, well, guess what? You're going to pay probably $5-6.
Pay more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you come up with that?
Plus the increased NIL budget that you'll need.
So whatever you're committing.
Now,
I don't know where this money tree is coming from.
Here's what's funny to me too, right? And this is where I know you have your annoyances with state fans. This is my annoyance, right? Is that like, some of them will be like, well, they have a coach. If they get a coach that could be more creative or whatever with the players you get. Hey, you know what? A coach like that looks like Tony Bennett, but y'all hate him.
Right.
Y'all hate the way
Does
the
it a
basketball
different
looks. Herb Sendek. Y'all don't like that. So what do you want here? If you want them to play like a fast-paced up and down style that's entertaining to your eyeballs, whatever, like you're going to have to pay for that, and it's going to cost money. And if they don't have money to spend, then
So what I'm getting at is it's a year-to-year proposition.
For sure.
Your investment.
For everybody.
For everyone.
Yes.
Even Duke.
Yes.
They're the ones who just have it done. They've done it right. by the way, in football as well.
Yes, Nina,
because they've gone
and
through
them
a
have done a
coaching
great
change.
job. Yeah.
Yes, they've gone through a coaching change and had sustained success in football.
Which
impressive.
Is wild for Duke football. Like historically, that is wild. In my lifetime, it's never happened. I don't think.
Overly impressive what they've been able to do.
Yes.
Because money doesn't equal success, but you still have to have money to be successful.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like Ohio State in football, and they have the highest payroll, the highest revenue, highest everything. Okay. They won the national championship. Like, let me draw you the freaking map of how we get there.
It's not like a bunch of SEC schools just decided we're going to put an increased institutional focus on basketball. They were like, wow, this SEC contract is really fat. Let's spend some of this extra money we now have coming out of our eyeballs.
Look at all of this extra money we have.
Wouldn't it be cute if we got to be good in basketball? Oh, that would upset some people. And boy, howdy, here we are.
It definitely.
Now there are new overlords in basketball in a way they think they were in football this year.
Oh my gosh.
But actually are in basketball. That's real.
Are we finally going to get my predicted all SEC Final Four from 22 when none of them were there?
I was going to say, like, I maintain the tournament is a different animal.
Yes.
And that's why you see more traditional programs, I feel like, have, I just don't think like some of these newbies are as successful in that realm. Although you would think, I don't know.
I was watching Auburn Ole Miss last week, and I'm sitting here, I'm going, Miles Kelly, why does that guy look really, really familiar? He had 15 points in their road win over Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech transfer.
I was going to say, that's a familiar name.
And then I'm looking at Sean Padula, and I'm like, oh, that's where he is. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
In the SEC, Missouri didn't win a game 2 years ago.
Okay.
In the league.
Yeah.
They're one of like the 10, 15 best teams in the country this year. I had to look this up.
That's crazy.
I had to look this up because they have transferred from Indiana. Do you know who their big man is?
No.
Who I thought went pro, went to the G League, went to France with Mo Diarra. I didn't know where he went. Mark Mitchell. Mark Mitchell is Mizzou's big man.
I thought he went pro too.
See? So
Listen,
he did go pro. He got paid by Mizzou.
The SEC folks have always understood in any sport, if you want to be successful, always, even before NIL.
Before it was legal.
Correct.
To be fair. Yes. So hey, anytime we talk about
Show me the
ACC basketball, it's brought to you by the Donnelly team, Keller Williams Commercial Real Estate. Look them up, trianglenccommercial.com. Maybe you need a great space here in North Hills. They can help you with that. Give them a call, 919-616-8681. Brian and Julie, I know this is like a super niche of the nichiest ads, but if your company and your business needs real estate help, give them a call, 919-616-8681. All right, I missed this yesterday, Lauren. Let me see if I can hit this button today because it is one of my favorite buttons that we have. Housekeeping. Thanks to everyone for coming out last night to Sully's in Garner. We did a golf event. Your dad would have loved this. We had the 16th hole at TPC Scottsdale set up, the stadium where they throw the beer and do the whole thing. The one thing I didn't realize on the simulator, they actually have crowd noise. So when you miss the green, they boo you.
Wow.
Yes.
You don't need that extra, like, they don't even boo real golfers. They miss the green. Come on now.
I think they boo bad shots, but there's more beer that's thrown than anything else. So we had an amazing time last night at Sully's in Garner. So if you guys get a chance, you should go check them out. They have some really cool stuff over there. We're actually out of immediate events that are coming up. I would just like to point out that real quick. We have this coming up soon. We have hats.
Oh, look at that.
But we've gone street legal.
GGO style.
We set up a deal with Base 6.
Oh,
LK,
cool.
our friend here in Raleigh.
Yes.
So we will have a website. We're going to have a run up to the ACC tournament. We'll sell that hat in red, light blue, white, and black. Just in case there's a correlation there. I don't know. But, it's the Dead Conference logo. We'll have all that ready for the ACC tournament. So looking forward to that. That's in Charlotte this year. What's that?
Dying, not dead.
Yeah, I mean, but that logo.
I guess the logo is dead. You're right.
Yeah.
I was like, dying conference.
We're here for that logo.
Yeah.
And we do have an event coming up for the second Carolina NC State game for our OG fans.
Okay.
Our OG fans founder club. It's going to be at the Longleaf Swine. Do yourself a favor. Get down to the Longleaf Swine, especially in the spring when it gets like 70 degrees the other day. They have an amazing outdoor space. Go check them out, Longleaf Swine. There's always parking on Edenton, so go check them out there. Rowback. I was in my rowback last night because I was playing the golf. This is what I was doing. We're going to get to the heartbreak from last night. You're going to appreciate this.
Oh, boy.
When we get to it. But rowback, get swagged out. Use our promo code OG20. You can save 20% on your initial order. And then while Joe Ovius is recovering in recovery mode, he will get back healthy soon, and he'll be at O2 Fitness Club's Seaboard Station downtown is our home base, but they have a location near you. The key to being a member at a gym is having access, very easy access to said things. So go check them out, O2 Fitness, O2FitnessClubs.com to find the one nearest to you. See, now we're live today, so I can't hit pause. I can't do anything else. But I have a very special treat. Yesterday, Dimitri was on filling in for Joe.
Yes.
And we had a reunion yesterday.
Oh.
I felt it in my plums. So today, I was interested in having another reunion. Press this button now. Let us welcome in Mike Maniscalco back together again with Lauren Brownlow. That
Yay.
Brownlow lady. Now I'm getting loud here at the Happy Inhale. Mike, 2 days in a row. Feels good.
It does feel good. It feels like I'm doing a show with Lauren and Dimitri all over again. But more importantly, doing a show with Lauren today and Dimitri is like behind glass the way he should be, the way that the good Lord intended it, Lauren, as you know.
That's right. Yeah. He was always a little more manageable behind the glass.
I
don't know about that, but
that's true.
I can't promise another great moment where Mike looked in disbelief at Dimitri yesterday for questioning mythological creatures. But we have something straight out of the OVS radio playbook for today. We have a top 4 at 4.
Yay.
Sports holidays. I don't have music to play. I can play the horns. Dun, 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 dun. All right, Mike Maniscalco, we will start with you. Top 4 at 4 sports holidays. What do you have at number 4?
At number 4, I have New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
Ooh,
okay.
Good one.
The reason being, first off, it used to be you'd wake up at like 10 in the morning after New Year's Eve, 11, there would be some bowl game on that you were not aware of, nor did you care about, but it was football and it was live. And then it just carried you all the way through to about, midnight, 1 in the morning when you get there. Then the NHL decided to jump in and they did a really good job of taking away New Year's Day from college football. And then they promptly gave it right back, as Gary Bettman is wont to do when he has a good thing. That's why we can't have nice things in the NHL permanently. But it was just one of those days. It was lazy. You could stay on the couch. Nobody was working. It was New Year's Day. Everybody was recovering from their hangover from the night before. And you just sat back and had yourself a peaceful day of arguing whose conference was better. Again, as you guys are pointing out, the dying conference logos that are out there. I'm going to go Pac-10 for life. Let's go.
All right, you bring up a great point about college football, and it just is already gone. So I had already lost it. So I'm glad that you're remembering the old days for me. Lauren, what's your number 4 sports holiday?
I think 4 for me would have to be Derby Day.
Derby Day, the first Saturday in May.
I do not care at all about horse racing.
Do not.
But almost every year, friends will have a party. And I'm usually invited. I'm actually invited usually to more Derby parties than Super Bowl parties.
Than anything else.
Yeah. So for me, I always look forward to it. Plus, it's during like a dead time of year in the calendar anyway. So it's kind of like, okay, let's go out and make fun of some horse names and place wild fictional bets and whatever and wear stupid hats. Let's do it.
I was going to say, you seem like the type that would bet on a horse's name.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's got to have a good name or else I'm not betting on it. Yeah.
All right.
Do you have a favorite horse's name that you remember? Like Smarty Jones or Big Brown or something like that.
I wish I could think of one off the top of my head. I don't, but yeah, I'll have to think on that. But I can't think of one that comes immediately to mind.
I always liked the guys who thought they were being cheeky with some kind of innuendo. We all know what you're going for here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why your horse is racing, in the 12th at Aqueduct and not at Churchill Downs. So
that's right.
I'm going to fill the role of super white guy here. The first day, the first Thursday of the Masters.
Oh God,
I did not.
Okay,
while I did not grow up,
thanks, friend.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. While I did not grow up watching the Masters the way that I do now, it is one of my favorite gambling days of the year. So since we are talking about my sports calendar, it is only fair that I point out that, and you will see why number one is number one on this list as well. But I'm going with the first day of the Masters. Mike, let's go back to you for number 3.
This used to be higher on my peg when it was newsy back in the day, but opening day for Major League Baseball. I loved it. I loved everything about it. Now I couldn't even tell you when it is. And there's a lot that goes into it, but there was just something for me for, you want to talk about baseball and the romanticism of sports. Opening day for baseball was the one for me. I mean, I would wake up early if there were games that were, Cincinnati always had the first game, at like 11 o'clock or noon, 11 o'clock, wherever they could get that in. That was just for me one of those, I'm going to wake up all day and watch baseball. It was one of those for me. I actually even would cut school to make sure that I watched baseball from noon all the way through. I wasn't like everybody thinks I'm the straight-laced guy. Oh God, no. I did so many things for sports. I have no soul anymore. I sold it for this.
What is your number 3, Lauren?
My number 3 has become recently, actually, I would say that Labor Day weekend of college football.
Okay.
There's usually some bangers in that mix, whether they're of local interest or not.
Right.
You usually get like a straight like Thursday through like Monday. There is a game every day. Now, Granted, most people are doing things on a Labor Day weekend. I'm not saying I'm also not doing things on a Labor Day weekend, but it's always nice to especially if you're at the beach or something, you come home and then you just sit down and you start watching college football. I've come to really enjoy that weekend, and it really helps ease me into the season. So it's not exactly a sports holiday per se, but I definitely associate it more now with this kind of the real start of the college football season than anything
week 0.
Yeah, for sure.
Mike, I made this list before I knew for sure you were going to be with us. I did not do this to shame you, and it might be on your list still yet. And tonight you have the radio only call for Canes Wild, correct?
Correct.
Okay. My number 3 is the first day of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And this really is more so in the last 5-6 years. I feel like, Mike and I were talking yesterday about we're so Canes centric here. We know everything about the Canes, right? We follow them, the whole thing. It's not until the start of the playoffs, you're like, okay, now wait a second. I remember New Jersey. What? I'll watch my language potentially. What's the douchebag's name who plays for New Jersey who's lost every year in the playoffs?
Eric Holla.
Eric
Holla.
Oh, I remember him.
Eric, by the way, Eric's not a douchebag. I know him. He's just
okay.
I know I know he's garnered
fans.
Yes, he has garnered that persona. I just wanted to go. I feel I'm on the defensive now, being like, oh, douchebag wasn't the clue that led me to it. I just kind of knew where you were going with that. That's all.
I just couldn't remember.
And by the way, I prefer Brownlow's iteration. Douche canoe is much better than a douchebag.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because what does that even mean?
I just know it sounds worse and better at the same time.
Yes.
But that's when I feel like we truly start catching up with now wait a second. Lou Lamoriello runs what team? Man, I hated that guy 20 years ago, right? So I feel like that's a day that we catch up on hockey. It feels like a little bit of now it is a kind of a specific Dundon era, Rod era holiday. I will grant you that, but I have the first day of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I will start with number 2. I've got the Super Bowl. When I was growing up, this is how I learned to gamble, by the way. So my parents had a Super Bowl party every year since 81. Yeah, 82 was the Niners Bengals. I vividly remember being in our living room. The TV was set up in our upstairs living room where it never was. Our TV we only had one TV. It was downstairs. It was in the family room. For the highest rated Super Bowl of all time, still to this day, the first one that the Niners were in, Niners Bengals in Detroit. We moved the TV to the living room. We had a party. We started betting. No shit. This is true story. I was 6 years old. We were betting nickels, dimes, and quarters on the kickoff. Would it get past the 20-yard line? The first play, was it run or pass? And the first series, would it be field goal, touchdown, punt, turnover? So this is how I started gambling, okay? Every year, basically, since then, I've been at my own or held. Jessica and I have had a Super Bowl party every year since that we've been together. Falcons, Broncos, the John Elway repeat. Okay. So I actually love the Super Bowl party more than the Super Bowl itself. And I'm trying to get there with this Eagles Chiefs rematch.
Yeah.
I am trying to get there.
Well, Lord knows.
So that's my number 2. Mike, what's your number 2?
It's funny. My number 2 was your number 3. It's the first day of the NHL playoffs. And but part of that. No. You're not getting me in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble by what I leave off of the list. And we'll get to that when we get to everybody's number 1. But growing up in Western New York, the way that I did when your teams were in the playoffs, but there was just something magical about that opening round. And kind of, Lauren, to your point about, college football, that Labor Day, that opening round, just the first matchups, the first day. So it would be like a Friday, Saturday, or a Saturday, Sunday. But generally it was Friday, Saturday. The Canadian teams would play on Saturday. So you'd get hockey night in Canada. But you would, they drop the puck at 7:00. Boston would usually be playing Buffalo when I was growing up, or you'd have, and it was the old division, the way that they used to have it. 1 versus 4 in the division would play. So you'd get all of these rivalries. It would go 2 days. You would stay up. And to Joe's point, where it would get really exciting is, God, we're going to watch Wayne Gretzky play tonight. It's one of those things. It's like Christmas. We can't wait. And then, you just see these absolute, it's game 1, but absolute wars to start off a 7-game series for the playoffs. And for me, there is no better start to finish playoff than the NHL, but that opening round in those 2 days of the game 1s, those are the best. That's a huge holiday for me.
All right, Lauren, number 2 for you.
This has been a little bit of a recent development for me, but I would probably have to say wild card weekend for me.
Really?
I don't know why. I just really enjoy the NFL, like just opening up the playoffs. And maybe it's because the Panthers haven't been in a while. And so it's one of my chances as someone who has kind of like covered, quote unquote, the Panthers, or at least had to watch them every Sunday. It's become one of my chances to like get to know what the good teams in the league are.
Like, I get to watch good football.
My God. The living through others, because living with the Panthers is just that unbearable.
It's like, oh, Lamar Jackson, I've missed you except in the highlights. It's so nice to see you again, or whoever, right? Like,
yes.
It's always, it's been exciting, I feel like, in recent years. And it's like a couple days worth of football, and good football, usually consequential football. I like to settle in and just like enjoy whatever madness happens. I feel like those games are usually more exciting in the beginning of the playoffs, and then they get progressively worse. Although the title game weekends are usually good as well, but I still like wild card more because there's more to go around. Correct, and you can just skip around if one's bad.
I like to call wild card weekend my official saying goodbye to the Vikings for the rest of the year until the draft comes around.
All right, Lauren, take us home with your number 1.
That's easy. That is the first real day of NCAA tournament.
Okay.
Action.
All right. We're there. We're simpatico.
Yes. Seated and wrapped the whole day. Like, I do not like to be disturbed during that day. I don't like to be out of my house for any reason. I need to be by a television where I can hear it and see it, and like paying attention to all of watching the ticker, flipping around. I got my channel flipping hand ready to go. Like, I love that day. I've never been to Vegas for it, but that's on my bucket list to like go to. I don't gamble. You know me. I don't really gamble that much, but I would love to be in Vegas for that at some point if I could handle the crowds. I don't know. But
also my number 1, it's also one of the 2 times Ovius has been most mad at me. Was the first year we did radio together, and it was that day, and we were on the air, and I was completely worthless, and he was like, what is your problem? And I'm like, I have a perfect bracket going on right now, so I don't know what your problem is, sir. Like, I will not be focused today.
Was that one of those, like, was that?
We were in the studio, the games were on. It was like the bridge game, and like 4 of them were like closing at 3, and I'm like, I was totally worthless, more so than usual. Yes. I hear you out there. So, Mike, do you have a different number 1?
No, that's my number 1. By the way, Lauren, I am Somehow I've earned this reputation of, knowing everything about Vegas. It's not really true, but there are places we can go where you can gamble and you would not have to worry about the crowds. I would make sure of that. So we'll get the band back together, and maybe we'll do, when my run here is over, we'll go out to Vegas and we'll join the Ovius and Giglio podcast from a remote location. You'll enjoy it. There'll be beverages and we'll have our own booze. It'll be great. I know some people. We'll make it happen.
That's what's up. I would love that very much. Yes.
But that Thursday, it's just the best.
Yes.
I mean, when that the opening tip off, and then you're sitting there and everybody hates bracket guy. So Giglio, that, but everybody hates bracket guy after the second day. That's when you're like, nobody cares. But
right.
You're sitting there with your brackets, you got your friends, that you get this 12-5, you're watching this. When I was in Richmond, I used to get the day off because we carried the games all the way through when I worked in radio. So me and a couple of my friends, one friend in particular, he would take a half day, and we would meet up at a place. They had all the games on, so we'd sit there, and you would just hear like certain people would glom on to whatever games are there, and you'd hear somebody screaming, "Oh!" and then you turn your attention to that game if you're watching one. And I'm sorry, the opening day for March Madness, the real opening day, the round of 64, that Thursday, nothing better than that. Absolutely. And then when the big upset happens, if you're in a place where there's a bunch of people, that's great. But even if you're watching it by yourself, that was great too, because then you were texting or calling your friends, "Are you watching this game? UTEP is going to pull an upset right now." That's the best, period.
I am slightly embarrassed that we're selling this hat, and I don't have the first day of the ACC tournament.
You know what?
But
it
used to be.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Because when Mike brought up like skipping school or whatever, I used to do that. I was often out for the ACC tournament because I was attending it on Friday. And I
mean, the first Friday I ever went to was the year they had 8 first-round draft picks, 95.
That was my first as well.
Tim Duncan, Jerry Stackhouse, Rasheed Wallace, like
Childress.
That whole day, the star of the tournament.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that whole day was pretty good. That was my
incredible.
First time ever going to the ACC tournament. So you're right, Jack. Shame on us. One other one that would have been on my list, but they've bastardized it. I used to love the NFL draft.
Yeah.
When it was the Saturday, and then even when they went to like the first 3 rounds in one day, I was okay with it.
Yeah.
But when they went to the one first round at night,
me too.
I was just kind of like, But I used to love, because it was selfishly, it was almost always around my birthday as well.
Oh,
so it would be like, okay, I'm gonna go watch the draft. It's my birthday. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I used to love the draft too, and now both drafts, in fact. And now I'm just not that like NBA and NFL. Now I'm just not that really invested in it.
Right. Yeah. So, Mike, you've been staying again. You're staying safe, and now the OVS has been claimed by the flu that has been running rampant through the hockey community.
No, knock wood. I've been fine, and the team practiced yesterday, so they were. For the most part, everybody made it out unscathed. And as you can hear, now that I'm actually up, and I've been up for a couple of hours, as opposed to forgetting I was on Central Time yesterday, and it sounded like I've been gargling with rock salt and Valvoline. A little bit better now. I just wanted to go back. The one that missed my cut that I thought that you guys would start to hammer me on. By the way, is this our Mount Rushmore of Ford? Never mind.
No one's ever thought of that, Mike.
I know.
Working on this program.
You hit one yesterday with the sponsorship. Nobody ever thought to put that together with Hot and Cold. So I figured we're breaking news here too. The Super Bowl is not even in my top 10 anymore of sports holidays.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me too. I was gonna say
it's for me, like, and Lauren, you know this, like when you cover it, you got to watch it, but everybody wants a party. So you can't really enjoy a party if you go to the party, because you've got to watch the game. You can't watch the game because you're at a party. And if you're watching it, by yourself, or you're home by yourself, which actually now I don't even care. But like, you're kind of like, well, what a sad existence. I'm home,
watching it does feel sad. Nothing feels better than watching the Super Bowl by yourself.
And by yourself, you're like, well, this is just, what am I doing with my life? You rethink every priority. But it used to be a big deal, and now it's like just people fighting over the halftime act, saying this is. I'm like, I don't even care anymore. And now that it's
game's usually not good anymore. Like it's good sometimes. It's been good at times, but a lot.
I'm not proud of myself for this. I do a prop bets every year, like the coin toss.
I've been to your Super Bowl party,
This year I'm including penalties on the Eagles in the first half.
Oh my!
You're just going to do defensive penalties?
No, just all Eagles penalties in the first half. Over under.
Or penalties drawn by Mahomes.
Oh,
just perpetuating the myth. Now I feel dirty for joining this one.
I'm not proud of myself for it.
Although the biggest prop that I almost hit in the Super Bowl, and Joe will like this one because it goes back to your first Super Bowl with your lovely wife, the Broncos Falcons. It was first touchdown scored, and I put it on Shannon Sharp, and he was, I think, plus 210. Nice. And I put I think $20. So back in the day, that would have been a very nice payday. Because when you're making no money when you're starting off in sports. And if you remember, he got tackled on the one and blew out his knee, and that was it. Or it was like, remember, he hits, it's a long pass. Elway hits him on a long pass. He's going in, and then he gets submarined going into the end zone and doesn't score. And then that Super Bowl was officially over for me. Plus, I think I had the flu. So
I'd forgotten about that. At first, I thought you were about to tell a gambling success story, and then I was no.
I have a good one with the Ravens Giants Super Bowl. That terrible Super Bowl. That's the best one in my memory because I put money on the Ravens at the start of the year at 40 to 1.
Oh wow!
Bingo.
All right, you can listen to them tonight on the radio only call. Then Saturday they're back home against the Utah Hockey Club. That is back on your not DraftKings network. Mike Maniscalco, voice of the Carolina Hurricanes, and also always forever radio partner of Lauren Brownlow and Ravenos.
Good times. Love you, miss you. By the way, Joe, just for you, you can listen to it on the Hurricanes radio network.
Ooh,
that's where you can
learn how to start saying that. Yes, you're right.
That's to keep away from the other thing because I don't say it. So
yeah, you know.
Nope. By the way, I stole that one from Brownlow too. Nope.
Catch him tonight. Mike, appreciate you, man. I don't think we need you tomorrow, but if you're around.
Let me see. We get in about 1 a.m, so but it'll be on Eastern time, so I should be set when you tell me what time it is.
If I text you'll know.
Yes. All right, guys. Mike, Brownlow, great to see you. Joe, always a pleasure. Take care, guys.
Bye.
All right, look at this ad transition right here because I don't know how to hit buttons and all that other stuff. Home Field Apparel, they have the best sweatshirts. They have the best sweatpants. They got the most creative shirts too. Like their Carolina stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
Their Virginia stuff. Listen to me. I hate Virginia. They have great Virginia stuff. Okay. ECU, Wake Forest, App State. They got the best. Check them out.
Mm-hmm.
Home Field Apparel, homefieldapparel.com, or download the Home Field app. There's a lot of savings there. Use our promo code OG24. You can save 15% on your first order. And of course, this program is not possible without Hayes Lancaster, Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. If you would like to get rid of the mold or mildew under your house, there's a 360 moisture barrier that they install, which I highly recommend. And then once they did that at my house, they realized I had mice in my attic.
Oh,
guess what? What came through the HVAC system? I know. Well, they were able to get rid of those mice in the attic as well. So go to bugsbite.com. They got all of your needs taken care of and all of your legal needs. Whitaker and Hamer, Josh Whitaker, Joe Hamer, wh.lawyer. They have the world's greatest URL. If they're smart enough to have the world's greatest URL, well, they're smart enough to help you with all of your legal needs. Check them out, wh.lawyer. Last night, I was in Garner, the G, repping the G, and no one reps the G better than Matt Davis, State Farm Insurance. Matt Davis, insuregarner.com. If you want to save money, which I'm guessing you're going to need to do in the year 2025 and going forward, give Matt a call, 919-779-8277. He has you covered for all of your insurance needs. That's Matt Davis, insuregarner.com, 919-779-8277.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not.
It gets the people going.
All right, Mike Maniscalco referenced we have come up with the all brand new groundbreaking hot and cold segment.
Okay.
Is brought to you by 1-800-Plumber and Air. Go to 1-800-Plumber.com, or you can just call 1-800-Plumber. Lauren, you as a homeowner, as an adult, as a grown-ass adult, you know plumbing emergencies happen not between 8 and 5 during the week, but randomly at night, randomly on the weekends, and you're sitting here going, what am I going to do? You can go to some random person's names list and trust some other recommendation, or 1-800-plumber.com.
There you go.
1-800-plumber. Give them a call. Check them out online for all of your plumbing needs. They also do HVAC. So listen, don't get me started on that racket. All right. They've got you covered there. All right. I promise you, these are the people that you want to go and use. 1-800-plumber and air 1-800-plumber.com. All right. So I know it's completely unheard of and unprecedented, but there's a hot of the day. And I'm going to give the hot to the NBA.
Okay.
Because it's Super Bowl week. But what are we talking about? We, the collective national media. Trades in the NBA. There was the Luka Doncic earthquake that happened. And once that happened, you knew other moves would come. De'Aaron Fox ends up going to San Antonio. Wow. Wembanyama with Fox. Kind of crazy. Then you get Jimmy Butler yesterday getting traded to the Warriors. And then you wake up this morning and realize Dalton Connect is now a Charlotte Hornet. Traded to Charlotte for Mark Williams because the Lakers needed a big. And of course, Lauren, what is Mark Williams going to be known for forever until he helps the Lakers win a title? He was the guy who was dotted by Caleb Love in the 22 Final Four. So poor Mark Williams will never be known for anything else in this area.
Yeah.
But if he can help Luka and maybe even LeBron, they might trade LeBron. That would be wild.
Trade LeBron?
They could. I don't know. I'm telling you, the NBA
Trade LeBron, leave Bronny there.
The NBA is stealing the NFL's thunder. You got Roger Goodell up there answering questions about officials and rigged games. I mean,
why are they? By the way, like, why are they doing that? Just don't answer it. That's what leagues used to do.
Not answer.
Yes. Am I crazy?
I think the way that he answered it was appropriate.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous that you would suggest, and this is how we take all of this very seriously and everything else. Like, I thought the way he answered it was fine.
Oh,
but think about it. He had a press conference. Did you see any other talking point from that press conference?
No.
Any of his other initiatives?
I literally got a news alert. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm just saying the NBA has found a way, and this is payback for stealing Christmas.
I'm still annoyed.
This is why you're Grinch. You were a Grinch at NFL. You stole Christmas from the NBA. They're now stealing your Christmas, your Super Bowl, the actual Super Bowl.
I have long maintained actually that the NBA should have Christmas Day and the NFL should get Christmas Eve. Just like keep it the way it was.
Yeah.
There has always been a Christmas Eve game for the NFL. Has there not? I feel like there has for as long as I can remember. So like just keep it that way. Like why? I don't know. Yeah, the NFL's insistence and like trying to, it's funny to me too that like we're on the week of their biggest game of the year, right? And like again, this just shows how much it rolls out. You run out of steam by this point. Like you really do with football. Everyone's looking at this game and they're like, it's gonna suck. And so that's partly why there's like not as much excitement going on around.
All right, cue the Dua Lipa, Elton John, Cold Cold Heart. The cold of the day. I'm gonna go to Syracuse basketball. We have forgotten about Syracuse basketball in this area. Shout out to Laura Keeley, who once told me that Syracuse Duke was a bigger rivalry than NC State and Duke.
Listen, she didn't fall victim to anything that other people have not fallen victim to at various times. Okay.
So Duke last night beat the absolute life out of the Orange up in the Dome, 83-54. By the way, since I questioned, is Duke a monster? They figured out how to just absolutely maul Carolina and then follow that up. Even more importantly, in my opinion, when you show us your fastball, it's natural to go back and have not as a great performance. They followed up what they did to Carolina with an 83-54 win last night at Syracuse. But it had me wondering, Lauren.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. Do you know the name of Syracuse's basketball coach?
Yeah, Autry.
Okay, Adrian Autry. I've forgotten that.
I remembered that. There are some ACC teams I could not name either.
Syracuse is 10-13 on the season.
They
now,
are bad.
4-8 in the league. They were a bubble team last year under Autry at 20-12.
Which is much more where they're comfortable living.
And they missed the tournament in Bayheims last year in 23. This is a classic example of, I made this point when Xavier Worthy was like amazing in the playoffs for the Chiefs. People were like, during draft day, I can't believe they let the Chiefs have a player like that. Why'd they let him get the fastest player in the draft? This is the same troglodyte was out there going, Syracuse basketball is just Jim Boeheim. And sure as shit, it looks like it really is just Jim Boeheim. I don't know what they do. I'm not sure where they go. We talked about NIL before. There's no reason that they shouldn't have NIL for Syracuse basketball.
And you could make the case, and I'm not to denigrate Boeheim, who certainly was a very
there were
good coach
reasons to
and
denigrate Jim. Sure.
Well, especially by the end is
Yeah.
what I was going to say. Is like it's not like he left them in the best possible position
Correct.
to be navigating the current world that we are in right now.
Correct.
So yeah, but it's not like they don't have a will. Like obviously, they have a will to be really good. Syracuse fans, I know.
Yes.
And so,
there's a passion there for
but
Syracuse
you don't
basketball.
hear about it as much. I feel like that they're even floundering like this. It's like you said, and that would be what's concerning to me the most as if I'm a Syracuse fan is like no one even is like noticing or calling us out that we've like fallen to these depths.
Now they were better in football this year, but there's part of me that says to
I love
Syracuse,
Syracuse football.
go back home, man. Go back to the Big East. Go back to where you should be. You know, I mean, they're not going to. Obviously, the money's not there for them. But I looked at it like there a couple weeks ago. They were on that Miami type skid of like,
Yeah,
you're not even competing type deal. But at least now they did
Louisville,
beat Cal last week.
Blew them right out.
Yes, that was the other one, the 85-61 loss to Louisville. So yes, Duke, by the way, you could have been the hot. You guys got the longest winning streak in the country now at 16 games, even though my glasses aren't right here. But good for Duke figuring some things out. It's real easy to follow up a big game like that with a dud, and they did not. All right. More buttons to be pushed. We're going to go no music, straight to Hometown Realty. Buy and sell with confidence. myhtr.com. Hometown Realty has you covered from here to the coast. It is myhtr.com. Breeze Through. This show is not possible without Breeze Through and their dark roast coffee. They have gas. They have great snacks. They have a beer cave. All those great things.
Yeah.
But straight up, they have great dark roast coffee. So go check them out at the nearest one near you. Now, Two Roosters.
Oh,
Lauren.
love it.
I don't know about you, but nothing says I love you like ice cream. And Jared has 4 different Valentine's mini cakes. But you got to get those orders in. So
Okay.
tworoosters.com or go to the store, order them.
I've got one in
please.
walking distance from me.
Okay. So
yeah,
Two Roosters, fabulous ice
I'm
cream.
gonna have to go check it out.
So creative. Oh, also, has been pointed out to me, now Two Roosters has run a promotion where you can get some sort of ice cream deal if NC State wins on the road.
Oh no.
Two Roosters is now 8-0 as since this deal has gone live. So
And they don't want to be though.
I texted Jared this morning. I said, here's what you do. You offer them ice cream if State loses to Stanford. And I said, watch, they'll beat Stanford. And so people will be happy that they beat Stanford if you flip that offer. So I'm not suggesting that he's done that. I'm just saying they are aware.
They got 5 chances left.
They are aware of the Two Roosters jinx right now.
I'm looking at it. I'm like, what is legit the best? Like,
They
what's
play Miami?
well, God, I would hope so. If you can't win that one, we might have to have it. But before that, is there another one that you look at? Not even at Syracuse? Although you don't even want to get ice cream at Syracuse because it's so cold.
I know.
Like, that's the last place I'd want to get ice cream. I'll bet you there's some good ice cream near Stanford.
The challenge. Oh, without a doubt.
That'd be
Without
a tough one for them, though. But just saying. Or Atlanta, if they can beat Georgia Tech.
Hey, I'll take any road win at this point, but I think Miami feels like the most logical one.
And there'd be some bomb ice cream there.
Yeah, and even better, I know where the best ice cream is. It is Two Roosters.
Yes.
Head over to Peace Street or Lake Boone or any other spots. They have the best ice cream going.
Yes, they
All right, Lauren, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe. Hey Joe is brought to you today by Nature's Relief. Nature's Relief is the proud sponsor of the OG Sports Phone. Joe Obius is the captain of this program. When he's not here, I do not know how to use the OG Sports Phone. So you can call the OG Sports Phone, 919
You don't even get to listen to it?
2211. A great source of consternation. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't. Nature's Relief. All of our spots. Timber Drive was there last night. Get yourself some gummies. Get yourself some drinks.
Nature's Relief's great.
Just chill. Just chill. That's the whole point in this perfect marriage of venting on the sports phone and then chilling with nature's relief. All right, Lauren, are you ready for this? No context, although you do your golf knowledge is up to par.
Well, I don't know about all that. We'll see.
All right, so last night we went to Sully's and we
Okay.
had the monitor. And let me see if I can zoom in here so that it looks better. There we go. So we had the 16th hole set up at TPC Scottsdale.
Okay.
It was 114 yards. So we had a contest of everyone that was there to see who could get it closest to the pin. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see number 1 is Jackson, my son, 1 foot 1 inch.
Wow.
Number 2, Joe Giglio, 1 foot 4 inches.
Oh, that's upsetting.
Hey, Joe, how mad were you last night that you did not win closest to the pin? You'll see my friend Brendan has got the next 2. I was perfectly okay with losing to Brendan. I was
Just
not.
your kid.
I was not okay with losing to Jackson, who also did win the closest to the pin at the OG Golf Classic, the real life OG Golf Classic. So
Wow. Well, look, you should be. You know what? You always want.
I should be
Right?
proud. I should be proud. I think is what you're about to tell me. You know, I'm just not.
I
feel like I'm
I
not
could be
that big of a
wrong, and like
person.
I don't want to speak out of turn for my own dad if this is not how he feels. But I
Yes.
believe my dad
He would
surpassed
be.
his own father
Okay.
as well. Like in
Okay.
terms, you want.
You're right.
Just saying.
You're right.
In terms
Maybe
of
not
golf
at
skill.
17. Maybe not at 17.
Well, that just means he's a prodigy. I think my dad won a golf tournament when he was like 6. So
All right, we'll get out of here on this. This is going back to my Duke comp to Syracuse, and it's been a season-long theme. I've talked about Josh McRoberts and kind of called my shot on that one, and I've contended that people misremember McRoberts, number 1, and number 2 don't really remember the numbers that he put up, right? But Parker Collin on the Instagrams here making a good point, and I just wanted to bring this up. I guess leading a team and counting number stats are similar. Visually watching them seems
yes,
different though.
I was gonna say, because I was about to be like, I don't know, Chilio.
Nick Roberts did handle the ball on the break, unlike any other Duke big man. But in the
True.
half court, he was a distributor with his back to the basket on the elbow, and the offense was limited to within 5 feet.
Yes.
Some might say he would never give the ball back to Paul. He never should have given the ball back to Paulus
Correct.
when he got it.
Yes.
Flag feels much more like a face-up triple threat guy who can initiate offense from anywhere. See, Colin, that's an excellent point, and I should have been more specific with my comp.
Yeah,
So-
because I would have used like more basketball IQ as like, and
Yeah.
not in an insulting way to
No.
McRoberts. It's just like with Flag, you're like, whoa.
at all.
You
Not-
know, it's more like he's advanced levels, not like McRoberts
Yes.
had none. And also, McRoberts was very like, I mean, look, Cooper Flag has had his mental moments as well. He's
Yeah.
a freshman,
Sure.
but
Isn't that normal?
McRoberts had more of them though,
He
and
did.
they usually lasted longer.
He
just-
did.
That's all I'll say about it.
Hey, I'm just saying that was a great point from one of our
Yeah,
listeners.
For sure.
I appreciate them not just being like, you're an idiot, but rather having a
That's well
excellent,
said.
yes, rather having an excellent point to make.
I missed the McRoberts call. I would have thrown.
Oh, in the
something at
preseason.
you.
Preseason.
Preseason.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant like
When
you
people-
recently did this. I was like,
No,
joking.
no, I have. I've doubled down on it because of the numbers. They're different types of players, so I get that.
Yeah.
No. So we'll be back Monday for sure. I don't know about the mailbag tomorrow because again, I don't know how to work the sports phone. So
There's a lot of people struggling with illness right now.
yeah, there
you
are.
know.
So let's for the sake of safety and on the side of caution, we'll be back Monday on the OG. Appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Don't eat too much, but
Or might as well. It's party day.
maybe have some brown liquor, a shot or two. Appreciate you guys for checking us out. And Lauren, thank you so much
Of course.
for filling in and helping me out. I'm going to get you a delicious bowl here
All right.
for your services.
Sounds awesome.
So
Okay.
take care of you, all those good things. See you guys on Monday.